Hi everyone, it's time to do Sundays with Sandy, and I'm working on the Moonlit Dreams kit, which in the kit you get this how to draw fairies in simple steps. And even though it says simple steps, I know it can still be confusing. I've had some people contact me and say that they still have issues trying to draw by using these samples of how to make your figures. So let's make it easy today. And life does not have to be hard, and you get muscle memory by tracing also. So what we're going to do today is we're going to trace one of the fairies. She's on page 23, and I'm going to do this for several reasons too. I'll set this off the side here, so I'm trying not to break any copyright issues by showing the design, but I want to show that she is facing this way. If I draw her, and I have to draw the way she's facing because I am not a good enough artist to take her and draw her facing the other way without some difficulty. So I want to make this one an easy day today. So what we're going to do is trace her. And when I trace her, I'm going to put her on some book paper. So this is her traced, and as you can see, she's facing the left-hand side, which if I cut this out, which would be fine, but for me, I'd have to put her over here if I wanted to do that, and then journal over on this side. But what I really want to do is put the text paper on top of text paper. I want it to really, try to emphasize that. So I want her facing the right-hand side. This is also better because in a design principle, if I put her on the text paper, because I wanted it to be text on text, even as far over as that way, she's still going to be facing outwards. So when your eye looks at her, you're kind of going to be drawn this way, and that takes you off the page. And that's not really what I want to do. So if I take her and I flip her, and when I trace her, I face her this way, it brings your focus back to the center of your page, or at least your page itself doesn't take you off the page. So I'm going to be tracing her, and then after I trace her, I'm going to cut her out, and then we'll continue. Alright, I've got her all cut out now, and if you don't want to, of course, do all the fussy cutting that, I had to do here, you could always just trace on a piece of paper and then glue, the entire book paper onto your journal page. And the background here, just so you know too, let me back that up so I can tell you where I started off. Anytime I do jelly printing, I always use a roll of, brayer, so I roll the paint out that's sitting on my brayer onto an empty journal page. Now, sometimes these journal pages are messed up for various reasons. They can be ink that seeped in through the book, or a design I started that I just absolutely hated and wanted to cover it up. So, for whatever reason that you want to do, you can cover your journal pages up with paint, and I love brayers. They just give you a really cool and kind of an abstract background. Then I glued my book text on, and then I gessoed lightly over the top of that. So now we're at the starting point again, or back to, I should say, the fairy on the book page. So I'm going to glue her on, and then I'm going to let her dry for a little bit. You know what? Actually, I want to take some spray inks and spray on the back of that first. Let's try Well Watched Blue. Give that a couple sprays. There we go. Sprayed my book too. Always, you know, move stuff away. Don't do as I do, but do as I say. So, especially since that is on, let's see, gesso paper, which is non-porous, I'm really going to have to let it sit. I'm just playing and spritzing colors here right now. So, getting kind of a purpley look there. It's all mixing together, so I'm going to let that sit. Not going to touch that. And we'll let that dry, then I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back now to this part of my design here. And I keep flipping back between these two pens, and it's kind of difficult sometimes. I get distracted, and I forget to tell you why I have to do these things. But the Feud Ball, which comes in your Moonlit Dreams kit, has a wide tip. You can see how thick that tip is, but it is great for writing on moist surfaces. Where I had glued her down, I could not immediately go back and use this one, which is a finer point, the 0.3, and you can see, much smaller point. But if I use that on top of her when she's moist, and I say moist because when you glue something down, there's a lot of moisture in there that you might not feel, but you do once you start writing on top of it. Your pen will kind of sink into where the glue was, and you'll know that it's not completely dry. But I can go back with the Feud Ball and do that. However, I cannot go back with the Feud Ball and do fine detail work like the nose and lips, the fingertips, and the book paper. So I had to wait until my design dried, and I went back in with the Pigmy Sensei. So, you know, having a variety of pens is really good to have on hand because they are used for different things. Never think, well, this one's too thick, I can't use it for everything. Well, yeah, you can't. And you can't say, well, I love these, but if I use them on a soft, moist surface, I'm going to ruin the tip. Well, yeah, that's right. So having two different pens gives you that availability to do more with your mixed media. Both of these pens are waterproof, although because this one is a juicier pen, it takes longer to dry, and that means it's going to take longer before you can put your hand on the material when you're writing or doing something else because it will smudge. This one dries faster, but again, not as juicy, so you can get that nice, thick, dark black line. You get a softer black. So anyway, two good pens, just for different reasons. So now that my design is thoroughly dry, I'm going back in and I'm doing things like her fingertips, her mouth and lips, and her hand. So I got to do her hand here. And let's see, got to count my fingertips just to make sure I get all the right amount of fingers in there. 3, 4, and 5, and we'll thicken that line up just to kind of go with that. And then we have my book coming down here. Now I can come back in with this if I want to make that a little darker. See the difference? See how much thicker that is than what I just did? But as you could tell, I couldn't use this pen to do the lines on the book pages, or I would just have this, you know, really thick line and not really defining marks. And that's because I've got a small drawing here. If I had a really big drawing, it wouldn't matter. Same thing for her toes here. So let's see. I am kind of cheating and just kind of letting that leaf cover up her toes so I don't have to do them. Yeah, we can do those things too. Okay, so she's pretty much done. Oh, except for the flower. And again, I did not want to do in the bulb pen first. And if you know me and my drawing, I always go thin pen first and work my way up when I'm drawing something, just in case I don't like how it looks. I can change what a thin pen looks like, that mark, easier than I can something thick. Okay. Alright, so now we're going to do a little coloring in. Now, I love her, I admit. So what I'm going to do now is work on my text and my journaling. And again, let's make it easy on ourselves. So instead of trying to journal things, which you can if you want, of course, always. And you can always, you know, do it really simple like I did over here where I did some days I feel like a hot mess, and that was all I did. It was another very easy page. I like easy. Nothing wrong with easy. So, let's see. I don't think I'm going to be able to get... Let's see if I turn my book here. There we go. Okay. When I am choosing books to rip out pages and things like that, I go for the cheapest book I could absolutely find, and something that doesn't look like it would be treasured by anybody else here on this world. And this was a very old book on, gosh, it's about the internet and stupid things like that. But it's called Leaving Reality Behind, and that's why I chose the book in the first place. So, up here is the title of the book. And I knew that I was going to want that on here with my fairy, because I think that kind of fits. And then I went to my Pinterest board, and I have a section of my Pinterest board called Books. And I kind of put together this, which is going to be, reading a book is like leaving reality behind and being transformed. So I typed that out on my computer. My favorite font is called Traveling Typewriter. And that's what I used here. So now I'm going to kind of use both of those. Let's see, I think I'll put that one off the page and that one down below it like that. Okay, so I'm just going to glue those in. And then all I'm going to do is just list some favorite books around here. I don't know if I'm going to write them just randomly around or if I'm just going to make an actual list. But that's basically it, and I'm finished. Like I said, very easy page to do. Nothing difficult or hard. Doesn't always have to be difficult or hard. So I think I will bring that over there. You know, life sometimes is difficult and hard enough as it is. We don't need to make our art also be in that, so don't get stressed over your pages. Have fun doing them. If you would like to join in on the challenge that I have for the month and win a prize, let's say this month, trace something. And if you have a fairy, of course, I would love the fairy, so trace a fairy would make me even happier. But open yourself up. Let yourself go. Forgive yourself for tracing. I mean, I'm not selling this. I'm just going to put it in my journal. And, you know, really, let's, you know, don't get overboard on everything. Don't get too hyped up. And have fun. Show us your design over on the Frosted Designs Facebook page. And put it in the folder. There's a little album folder at the top. All you got to do is put it in there. And we'll be having a drawing, and that's going to be coming up probably at the end of next month. And then we're going to have a new kit. So, also, if you have any suggestions for a new kit, anything you'd like in a kit, would love to hear them. Y'all have a great week. Talk to you later. Bye.